Welcome to this Managing DSCSA Exceptions Using Poet training session. First, I'm going to give an introduction to Poet, then the Process Orchestration Framework. Next, we'll take a look at the DSCSA compliance exceptions, ways in which to capture exceptions, compliance exception with email integration, then SOM integration, and then we'll take a look at some use cases for US DSCSA compliance. Let's start with the Poet introduction. Before learning about Poet, let's first take a look at traditional process management. Traditional process management is the conventional approach which organizations use to define, document, and control business processes. While it's been foundational in establishing consistency, quality, and compliance, it often falls short in today's fast-paced, dynamic business environments, especially when teams need agility, autonomy, and cross-functional collaboration. It typically involves documenting workflows, assigning responsibilities, and using business process management (BPM) tools to ensure that tasks are being completed in a predefined sequence. While it's effective in stable and predictable environments, traditional process management has several limitations when compared to modern process orchestration, especially in the context of empowered cross-functional teams. There are a number of limitations in traditional process management, such as scattered communication, such as email, Excel, phone, etc. No shared system of record, unstructured and rigid workflow, delays and compliance risks, manual oversight and tracking, limited real-time visibility, and it's slow to adapt. The goal is to eliminate these limitations and to have structured, auditable, people-to-people collaboration across organizations. That's where TraceLink's process orchestration for empowered teams, POET, comes into picture. So what is POET? Process orchestration for empowered teams, POET, is a TraceLink-developed application designed to enable exception management and process collaboration with trade and supply chain partners. It's a modern approach to manage and execute business processes that emphasizes on collaboration, visibility, and adaptability, all while giving teams the power to make decisions and drive outcomes. Rather than relying on rigid top-down workflows, process orchestration coordinates people, systems, and data across departments in real time, enabling cross-functional teams to work more fluidly and efficiently. When applied to empower teams, it means teams have ownership over their part of the process. The process is transparent, so everyone knows the current state, blockers, and responsibilities. It provides a centralized platform where companies can coordinate, resolve, and track exceptions across end-to-end supply chain processes in real time. Opus is TraceLink's platform to build and manage digital supply networks. POET, on the other hand, is a purpose-built application on the Opus platform, just like other applications such as Mint. What makes POET unique is that it comes with a powerful embedded orchestration engine and methodology that brings supply chain processes to life. It brings structure, ownership, and agility to processes that span multiple teams and systems. It empowers you to design and own their part of the process, collaborate seamlessly, continue to improve based on real-time data. Let's understand this with the pyramid approach. The bottom layer is Opus platform. This is the foundation of TraceLink's digital supply network. It provides the infrastructure, data integration, and orchestration across the network. The middle layer is the application layer, which are the solutions built on Opus. These applications are built to solve specific business problems. POET and Mint are such applications. At the top of the pyramid are the real-time use cases and business processes executed by end users. These workflows are powered by the applications and orchestrated using capabilities like those provided by POET. Now onto the POET orchestration framework. POET is not about rigid control. It's about clarity, collaboration, and accountability. Two critical roles in this framework are the process owner and the process partner. Let's start with the owner. The Poet owner is the individual or team that owns the Poet application instance, and by extension owns the process network defined within it. This means they are accountable for the end-to-end performance, governance, and design of the business process being orchestrated in Poet. They are responsible to configure the process network in Poet, link with external or internal Poet partners to enable collaboration. The Poet partner is an invited collaborator within the process network. They are from an external enterprise who is responsible for executing specific parts of the process as defined by the Poet owner. For example, if a company is exchanging DSCSA compliance data with US trade partners, those same partners will also be the ones that collaborate with owners for exception management in Poet. Poet owners link a partner, such as a supplier or quality team, to complete their designated tasks or approvals. Poet partners contribute domain expertise to the process, execute assigned tasks or deliverables, provide real-time feedback and raise risks or blockers, suggest improvements based on their operational perspective. In terms of visibility, Poet owners have full end-to-end visibility into the process network, including all participating partners, task statuses, performance metrics, and exception trends. Poet partners have focused visibility. They see only the tasks and data relevant to their role, but cannot contribute to the overall process through collaboration and feedback. Let's now walk through the process of onboarding a partner for Poet compliance exceptions. This is typically initiated by Poet owners who create links with their partners in order to collaborate with the partners on compliance exceptions. There are 3 steps involved in the process. Adding a partner company. If it's already been added, you can skip this step. Creating the Poet link. Submitting a partner onboarding request to add partner users. We'll learn more about these steps in the upcoming slides. Let's look at the process of partner onboarding in more detail. Start by checking if the partner already exists in Partner Master Data. If the partner does not exist, add them in Partner Master Data, and ensure to include a global identifier such as a DEA, DUNS, HIN, or GLN. This identifier is essential for establishing a unique and traceable connection between systems. Next, navigate to Opus Admin to establish a Poet link with the partner. Use the same global identifier from the previous step and assign the role partner member to this link. This role enables the partner to interact with the owner's Poet instance. Finally, once the Poet link is in place, proceed to the Customer Success Portal and complete the Trade Partner Onboarding Request form. This form is used to request that specific partner users be added to the Poet link, ensuring that the right individuals at the partner organization can access Poet environment as intended. The project team is responsible for onboarding existing partners, ensuring partners are linked to Poet and partner users are added. The partner onboarding request form is generally only needed for adding new partners after go live, not for the existing ones already covered during the initial project. I'm now going to show you the partner onboarding steps on Poet for compliance exceptions. To add the partner to Partner Master Data, if it doesn't already exist, navigate to the main menu, then go to Master Data. Select Partner and Partners. Click on the Add icon to add a new partner. Type the name, and then add at least one identifier. For example, a GLN. Click Apply, and then Save to save this entry. To create the Poet link in Opus Admin, navigate to the main menu again, this time Administration. Go to Links, then click Add Links. Select the application, in this case Process Orchestration for empowered teams, and Network. Select your entity to link with, and click Next. For the roles we're selecting Partner Member Access. Then you create the link. When the Poet link is in place, proceed to the Customer Success Portal. Locate and complete the Trade Partner Onboarding Request form. This form is used to request that specific partner users be added to the POET link. This final step ensures that the right individuals at the partner organization can access the POET environment as intended. When submitting the partner onboarding request form, select POET as the application. The form can be used for two key types of requests: adding partner users to a link and enabling a partner for POET exception collaboration through email. Users should provide as much detail as possible to ensure smooth processing. Let's look at the workflow base states and transitions. Draft. The initial state for all exceptions, whether created automatically through integrations or manually through the UI or API. Exceptions in the draft state are not visible to external partners. To do indicates that the exception is ready for internal review and collaboration. At this stage, external partners may gain visibility into the exception depending on configuration. In progress represents that the exception is actively being worked on. This is typically the stage where communication and file sharing with external partners occur to facilitate resolution. Done. The final resolve state of the exception. This state is used when the issue has been successfully closed, corrected, or determined to be invalid. Note that exception from draft state to other states is undirectional, meaning the exception can't be sent back to draft state once it's transitioned to another state, whereas it can have bidirectional transitions among other base states. The process of integration typically begins with an exception creator creating an exception, either manually or through system integration. Initially in the draft state, the exception is visible only to the exception creator for internal preparation. Both owner and partner can create an exception. Once moved to To-Do, the exception becomes visible to relevant exception responder, external or cross-functional teams, signaling readiness for review and potential collaboration. As the exception progresses to In Progress, both exception creator and exception responder actively interact by sharing files, exchanging messages, and coordinating actions to resolve the issue. This is the most collaborative phase, where cross-team communication is essential. When the issue is resolved, the exception transitions to the Done state. Even after the closure, both exception creator and exception responder can provide further updates to a closed exception. Overall, POET Workflows ensures clear ownership, staged visibility, and timely collaboration, streamlining how teams work together to resolve exceptions efficiently. Let's now take a look at the DSCSA compliance exceptions. The Healthcare Distribution Alliance (HDA) exception handling guidelines for the DSCSA version 2.0 provided 5 different categories for compliance exceptions. Data no product. This occurs when you receive the data but don't receive some or all of the physical product. Product no data. This happens when you receive the physical product but have incomplete or missing data. Data issue. This refers to any form of data misalignment such as incorrect lot numbers or typos in the data. Packaging and labeling. Issues with label readability, barcode quality, or aggregation errors that prevent proper scanning or data association. Unavailable for distribution. Product is flagged as recalled, suspect, or illegitimate and cannot be distributed under DSCSA rules. You can learn more about these exception types and how to resolve them in our Troubleshooting DSCSA Compliance Exceptions course. Let's now take a look at ways to capture exceptions. There are primarily 4 ways to capture exceptions in POET: the user interface through Opus, Application Programming Interface (API), email, or Serialized Operations Manager (SOM). Let's learn about them in more detail. Let's start with the user interface. You manually create exceptions directly within the POET web interface. This method allows for detailed input, including exception type selection, description, file attachments, and assignment of roles. It's ideal for ad hoc issue reporting and for users who require guided interactive experience. Let's now take a look at how to create a compliance exception through the Opus UI. To create a compliance exception, navigate to the main menu, select My Networks, and DSCSA exception, POET. Then click Go. From here, click on Add New. In the General section, select a title, We'll enter this one as an example. Select the business priority. I'm just going to keep this as the default, which is medium. And then here, you can select the category. This is an example of product no data. Click on the Save button, and the compliance exception is created in the draft state. The compliance exception can be created as soon as it's discovered with minimum available information. It's created in the draft state. Once you get more information about the exception, you can then edit the exception to fill in more details and change its state. POET provides robust APIs that allow external systems such as ERP, WMS, or TMS platforms to automatically create exceptions. These APIs are typically used to capture exceptions triggered by system events or business rule violations like shipment delays, quantity mismatches, or quality failures. The API allows structured data submission, ensures exceptions are created consistently and with all required metadata. This method supports high automation and is ideal for scalable, integrated environments. In some POET configurations, exceptions can also be triggered through monitored email inboxes. For example, when a partner or an internal user sends an email to a designated address with specific email formats or keywords, POET can parse the content and automatically generate an exception. This method is useful for partners or teams who may not have direct access to the UI or API, but need a simple way to report issues. Note that the emails to create compliance exceptions are expected to follow the HTA guidelines. Serialized Operations Manager, SOM exceptions, are automatically generated when serialized data flow encountered discrepancies such as invalid serial numbers, failed validations, or traceability gaps during packaging, shipping, or receiving. These exceptions are captured in real time and passed into POET for resolution, ensuring that serialization and compliance-related issues are tracked and addressed efficiently. Currently, there are 3 types of exceptions that can be raised through SOM. Firstly, data no product. When serialization information for a product exists but the product is not physically received. Secondly is product no data. When a product is received and there is no accompanying serialization information for that product. And lastly is damaged product. When a damaged, unusable, stolen, or missing product is received. Note that this exception handling use case is primarily relevant to POET owners who are wholesalers or dispensers, as the exception creation occurs during SOM receiving. It's not applicable to POET owners who are marketing authorization holders, MAHs, as they are not involved in the receiving process where SOM exceptions are generated. I'm now going to show you how to create a compliance exception through Serialized Operations Manager. In Track and Trace Services, navigate to Serialized Operations Manager, select Inbound and View Receipts. I'm just going to enter a different date range and search. Click on the receipt, scroll to the bottom and select Record Exception. Click Confirm and select the type, in this example, Data No Product. Enter the serial numbers in question and then write a description. You would then click on Submit. Now to search for a compliance exception through the Opus AI. Select My Networks, select DSCSA exception, POET, and go. Here you can view all the compliance exceptions. You can also use a filter to narrow your search. For example, you can filter with a display identifier, state, title, etc. Once the desired filters have been added, select Apply. In order to edit a compliance exception through the Opus AI, select your exception and click on Edit. Let's start by changing the state from Draft to Do. Click on Move To. You could also add further information, like the issue tracking number. This displays the identer of the compliance exception, as in the internal in system or ERP. I'm just going to add an example here. You might want to also select a subcategory. This drop-down provides more granular reasons of the selected category. Let's select EPCI as sent but not received. You may also wish to enter the scope of exception. Let's select entire shipment. In the description, enter more details here. In the Participants section, select the assignee company details from the drop-down list. For example, Render Eco. In the Assignee User section, select the assignee user details from the drop-down list. In the Delivery and PO Number section, enter the delivery number, and you can also enter a purchase order number. You may also wish to enter the from and to business. You can fill in as many other details as you wish, and add attachments as well. To learn about each field in detail, you can refer to the Help Center by clicking the Help button located on the upper right-hand corner of the Opus platform. This is where you can upload any attachments. Once completed, select Save. The compliance exception will then be updated. Note that owners can edit the assignee details section while the compliance exception is still in the draft state. Once the compliance exception moves to the to-do state, the assignee details section can be only edited once. We're now going to move on to email integration. First, a user sends an email to a designated POET email address to initiate collaboration. This email is called an inbound email, which triggers the creation of a new collaboration object in POET. POET automatically creates a new collaboration object. The object is assigned a unique identifier and initial metadata. The originating user is recorded as the initiator or requester. Once the object is created, POET sends an outbound creation email to relevant stakeholders. This email contains the object ID and summary, a snapshot of the initial content, a link to view or interact with the object in POET. Basically, this email serves as confirmation and notification of object creation. The user or stakeholders can reply to the OB creation email to continue the collaboration. The reply is captured by POET and linked to the existing object. The body of the reply is passed and stored as a comment or update on the object. The reply content is added to the object's activity log or comments section. This ensures the full conversation history is preserved within the object. Any attachments or inline images from the reply are also stored with the object. After the object is updated with a new comment, POET sends an outbound update email to notify relevant participants. This update includes a summary of the new comment or change, a link to the object for further action, and a history of recent activity for context. This keeps all stakeholders informed and engaged in the collaboration process. POET enables users to create and update compliance exceptions not only through the API or user interface, but also directly through email, enhancing flexibility and ease of collaboration for partner and owner companies. When a user sends an inbound email to TraceLink with the intent to create a compliance exception, the system interprets the email and automatically creates a new instance of the appropriate object or subtype. The subject line of the email is used as the title of the compliance exception. The body of the email is entered as the initial comment, and any attachments included in the email are added to the compliance exception. When an email is sent to the specific TraceLink provided email address, TraceLink identifies which POET customer the email is intended for and automatically creates a compliance exception object under that POET owner's account. Users can also update existing compliance exceptions by replying to an outbound email notification from POET. When a reply is received, the system identifies the related work item using the original email thread. The subject line is inherited from the original message, the body of the reply is logged as a new comment, and any attachments are added to the existing work item. This allows for seamless threaded collaboration without requiring users to log into the system directly. The Healthcare Distribution Alliance, HDA, provides guidelines for handling exceptions. These guidelines aim to standardize communication between trading partners to help resolve exceptions more quickly and efficiently. To align with these guidelines, POET standardizes a template for creating and submitting exception notices through email. Let's take a look into this. The first part is a standard subject line. This should include the trading partners involved, the exception category, and the issue tracking number. This helps the recipient immediately understand the context. Next, include a brief description of the exception. Keep this explanation short and focused. Avoid repeating information that will already be included in the detailed fields of the email body. The last part is the body of the email. This contains all the required attributes of the exception, such as purchase order number, delivery or shipment ID, national drug codes, NDCs, batch and lot numbers, etc. Poet generates automated outbound email transactions at key stages in the life cycle of a work item: creation, update, and closure to keep stakeholders informed and support email-based collaboration. When a work item is created, an outbound email is triggered automatically. This email includes a snapshot of the business object capturing key base type attributes, along with the current state of the object. The recipient can respond directly to this email, and their reply will be interpreted by Poet as an update to the work item. Whenever a work item or one of its subtypes is updated, Poet sends an outbound update email. This email contains the most recent snapshot of the object, including base type attributes and its current state. While changes are not explicitly highlighted, the email provides enough context for the recipient to understand the status. If the work item is assigned, the updated email is also sent to the users from the partner company. Users can reply to the email to continue collaboration, and their responses are recorded as comments on the work item. Finally, when a work item is closed or marked as done, an outbound closure email is triggered. Similar to other email types, it includes a snapshot of the business object and its final status. Users can still respond to this email, and the replies will be logged in the system, allowing for post-closure follow-ups if necessary. We'll now move on to SOM integration. The integration between Serialized Operations Manager, SOM, and Poet enables automatic communication of exceptions reported in SOM to Poet, where structured collaboration can take place between partners to resolve those exceptions. SOM allows companies to report exceptions during delivery processes, but it lacks built-in collaboration features. To address this, Poet serves as the collaboration platform that provides transparency, context sharing, and coordination between the initiating and receiving parties. Let's understand the functional flow. First of all, a user reports an exception in SOM by providing key details such as creation channel, exception category, priority, created by user, and description. Once reported in SOM, the exception data is automatically sent to Poet. It then creates a new exception record with title, attachments, collaboration tools, status tracking, and field mapping. After creation, both the initiator and the assignee can collaborate within Poet using the comments section to communicate updates. Users can also add supporting files in the attachments section. This ensures both parties are aligned and can jointly work towards a resolution. Finally, when the exception gets resolved, the user can close the exception. And lastly, we'll take a look at use cases with DSCSA compliance exceptions. The first use case: your EPCIS file displays some extra serial numbers that are not part of the shipment. How could this happen? There could be two possible reasons for this issue. First, there are some extra serial numbers which were not supposed to be part of the shipment. Another possibility could be that some products of the shipment were missed when shipping. How do we fix this? First, you need to create an exception in the system. That's where you can create a compliance exception in Poet under the category Data No Product. And then to resolve this issue, you can do the following. In the first scenario, you work with your partner in Poet to void the file with the incorrect serial numbers and send a new EPCS file that contains the correct serial numbers using SOM, for example. In the second scenario, the products are located and shipped in a new separate EPCS file. Another issue. Some excess products were shipped in the delivery that were not present in the EPCIS. How could this happen? Again, there could be two possible reasons for this issue. First, extra products shipped were part of another PO or another shipment. Another possibility could be that the products were shipped by accident. How do we fix this? Similarly, you need to first create an exception in the system. That's where you can create a compliance exception in Poet under the category of Product No Data. And then to resolve the issues, you do the following. In the first scenario, you need to send a new EPCS file. If it was already sent, you can attach it to POET so the receiver can get it into their system. In the second scenario, you work with your partner to arrange for the return of the incorrect product. So that brings us to the end of this POET DSCSA exceptions training session. Firstly, we looked at an introduction to POET, then the POET orchestration framework. We then took a look at the DSCSA compliance exceptions, ways to capture those exceptions, email integration, SOM integration, and then some use cases. Thank you for your time watching this training session today. If you do have any questions, please feel free to email tracelinkuniversity@tracelink.com.